Iran has a foothold in Central America, aimed at us. Isn't that of concern? What happens when Iran gets a nuclear weapon? What happens if they decide to put it in Venezuela? Are we going to confront them like Kennedy did the Russians with Cuba? I don't think we will. I want to take you into one more area that typically isn't drawing any attention, and that is this alliance between Venezuela and Iran, which underscores exactly what I've been saying and keep saying: the fusion of Marxism and Islamism. Venezuela has nothing to do with Islamism. Iran has nothing to do with Marxism. But they are both horrific, murderous ideologies. Islamists, I didn't say Muslim, Islamists and Marxists. So they have the same enemies: the Jews, the Americans, free countries, democratic countries. Infiltrate, destroy from within. That's what Gramsci told the Marxists. That's what the Islamists have taught each other for hundreds of years. Infiltrate and destroy. That's what they're both good at. Now, God forbid if they succeed, they'll be slaughtering each other. But we don't want that day to come now, do we? Marxism is on the move in democratic countries like ours. Islamism is on the move, almost like a second crusade taking place, whether it's London, whether it's Paris, whether it's Berlin, whether it's Washington and New York. It's all over the world now what's taking place, all over the world. And of course, our media are not exactly well fitted for explaining it, confronting it. Instead, they carry flags and bullhorns for it. But take a look at this from the Israeli Defense Forces, the alliance between Venezuela and Iran. Go.
Why are Iranian weapons on display in military parades in Latin America? In June 2022, the presidents of Venezuela and Iran signed a 20-year partnership agreement to promote cooperation between the two countries. But why would the Iranian regime be interested in a country so far from home? This is actually nothing new. Iran's interest in embedding itself in a place like Venezuela is twofold. One, Venezuela's proximity to the United States, and two, the financial opportunities of the South American drug trade. The relationship between Iran and Venezuela has become increasingly strong ever since Hugo Chavez began his presidency in 1999. The two governments' shared animosity for the United States gave them common ground for cooperation, and between 2000 and 2012, dozens of diplomatic visits gave rise to hundreds of agreements in the areas of energy, tourism, agriculture, engineering, defense, and more. By 2012, Iran's investments and loans in Venezuela were valued at $15 billion. The Iranian government was sending Venezuela oil and gas, as well as civilian resources like cars and military infrastructure like drones. As both countries repeatedly came under new U.S. sanctions, Iran and Venezuela's strategic partnership continued to grow, with current presidents Raisi and Maduro aiming last year to increase bilateral trade from $3 billion to $20 billion.
ارتباط بین ایران و ونزوئلا یک ارتباط راهبردی است که دو کشور رو که از منافع مشترک، نگاه مشترک، دشمن مشترک.
Because of its close proximity to the U.S., Iran uses Venezuela as its home base in South America. Iran delivers weapons to Venezuela by air and sea that are very well capable of hitting U.S. territory. For example, the Iranian Mohajer-6 UAV that was displayed during a recent military parade in Venezuela has a flight time of 12 hours and a range of 1,200 miles, placing U.S. cities like Miami well within striking distance. Iranian Zulfajr boats armed with anti-ship missiles currently sit off the coast of northwest Venezuela. Even though these boats are not meant to go very far into the ocean, the missiles they carry are. Iran turned Venezuela into a land bridge to the extensive South American drug trade network in countries like Brazil, Colombia, Bolivia, and Mexico, among others. By sending operatives to South America from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and its proxy military in southern Lebanon, Hezbollah, Iran creates financial opportunities abroad to fund its global terror machine locally. In 2018, for example, Hezbollah's treasurer, Assad Ahmed Barakat, was arrested in the triple frontier between Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. Barakat was a top figure in Hezbollah's drug trafficking and money laundering, and was the key financier of the deadliest terrorist attack in Argentina's history, the 1994 bombing of the Jewish Community Center. And just last year, Iranian President Raisi made visits to Cuba and Nicaragua to work on strengthening Iran's ties to their other allies in Latin America. Even though Venezuela is 7,000 miles away from the Middle East, Iran and Venezuela see themselves as part of the same team, enabling Iran to threaten the U.S. from close by and presenting an opportunity for Iran to expand its presence in the region. The Venezuela-Iran alliance is just one part of Iran's axis of terror and ongoing attempts to destabilize the Western world.
Mark, what does what goes on in the Middle East have to do with us? You know, just because we have some, in a growing number in our country and in the Republican Party, who are isolationists or pacifists or whatever they want to call themselves, and wrap themselves in this American first propaganda, they're not American first. If you turn a blind eye to something like you just saw, how can you be American first? You're Iran and Venezuela first. Now, this is why when people say things are going on far away, the forever wars has nothing to do with us, why do we even care, our border's open, as if the open border is somehow tied to our foreign policy decisions. It's not. Secure the damn border. That is what every administration should do in a free society, especially ours. But that has no impact on what's going on overseas in terms of our protection, other than illegal aliens coming in here, and I'm not talking about that. There's no dispute about that. Iran has a foothold in Central America, aimed at us. Isn't that of concern? You saw the weaponry that they have. What happens when Iran gets a nuclear weapon? What happens if they decide to put it in Venezuela? Are we going to confront them like Kennedy did the Russians with Cuba? I don't think we will.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to LevinTV.com and subscribe now.